Before I dive in, I wanted to share something with you. Now, I've been speaking with so many entrepreneurs who are feeling that tinge of excitement or the pull to be called in a new direction to launch something so much bigger. And I think this is because a lot of people are really bored, they're feeling burned out, or this thing that they've built, this business that they built, is no longer fueling their creative fire. And so, guess what? They're feeling uninspired, and it's becoming harder and harder to keep growing this thing that they built, and they're feeling the call for something more. If any of that has resonated, I want to share something with you today that I am so proud of. It's so amazing. It is a brand new private audio podcast series called Reinvention Season. This experience is designed to help you pivot powerfully without burning it all down. Join me, Tracy Matthews, for this 3-step process to evolve your business and step into your next chapter with clarity and confidence. So all you have to do to get instant access right now is head on over to tracymatthews.com/reinvention season, or check out the link in the show notes and we'll take you right there. Your next big idea is waiting to emerge from you, and it's time. Now is the time. Let's do this. What if the biggest thing holding you back from having the life, the business, or even the relationship that you want is you? Now, I know that might feel like a tough pill to swallow. And in a minute, I'm going to share with you how my business actually impacted my relationship and this mic drop moment from my partner, Jason, that might actually shed some light on why you can no longer not listen to that calling that is moving you forward. Hey there, I'm Tracy Matthews. I am a business strategist, a creativity and reinvention expert. And today I wanted to share a little bit more about how you can really step up and be that best version of yourself, especially if you're someone who is asking the question, what's next? So let's dive in. Now, a few years ago, my relationship with my partner, Jason, almost ended. And you might be wondering, what does this have to do on a business podcast? But it is extremely important. It's not because we didn't love each other. It's not because we didn't want to be together. It's because I had outgrown parts of myself and I wasn't willing to admit it. I wasn't willing to admit what was next for me. And even though I was being called in a new direction, I kept trying to go back to what I knew because I had spent so much time focusing on what I'd built, even though it wasn't necessarily where I was going. And this was a really, really sad, important time for me and a hard time for me, because imagine the cost of actually staying in something that's not serving you. So the day when Jason came to me and asked me if I was having an affair, yes, he actually said, Tracy, are you having an affair? And I said no. And he's like, well, you're actually having an affair with your business. That was like literally woke me up. And if you're someone whose business is affecting your personal life because you're not in alignment with what you're doing, or you're in a career that is no longer serving you and you're ready for that next chapter for you, and you don't know how to actually step into what's next for you, well, here is your wake-up call. And I want to help you through this because I want to know where you are resisting stepping in to your reinvention, whatever that looks like. You know, I've been talking to hundreds and hundreds of women over the past several weeks and months and actually year about feeling a little bit mad. They're not excited about their business. They've built this thing. They've been doing it for a long time. They're known for what they do, or they built a career in a specific industry, but they have another passion or another desire or another calling that is on their heart, but they are struggling and can't figure out how to pivot out of what they're doing right now without alienating what they've built, right? Or without burning down what they've built. Or maybe they're even in this season of just knowing that they want to launch a different type of business off the existing business that they have. Like they like their business, but they're not needed in their business very much anymore. And they're a little bit bored. So they're getting restless and starting to mix things up. Like, how do you have a creative outlet for your genius to be able to serve more people in a different way without ruining what you've built, right? This is the question. So I want to ask you, where are you in your reinvention process? Are you afraid of letting go of what you built? Do you feel like you have to make a change right now, or it's time to make a change, but you don't know how to do it? or maybe you don't have time to make that change? Are you holding on to the financial stability at the cost of your creative energy? And what I mean by that is like a lot of people stay in a job that they don't love, or they've created a job for themselves in their business that they don't love because they're worried about the finances. Like, what happens if I let this go and I let go of the rails and I jump off the roof and I'm trying to figure this out and I don't know what's next, and I have this thing that's bringing in the income, and it is a real concern. But also the bigger question I have for you, it's like, what is the cost of not moving into that creative direction? What is the cost of staying stuck and the same? Because I will tell you that this situation that I had with Jason, this guy that I'd spent years, I met him when I was 48, for those of you who don't know, this guy that I'd spent years manifesting and calling into my life as a soul partnership. The idea of losing him because I was not stepping into my genius or my biggest expansion or who I'm supposed to be literally felt so devastating to me, because the impact of me not moving forward and trying to stay in something that created stability actually created more trauma and more devastation for me. And so the longer you avoid stepping into your next chapter or your reinvention, the more you will pay for it, either emotionally, financially, or energetically. And if you don't choose to evolve, life has a way of forcing you to do it itself. It's going to come in a lot of different varieties. So today I'm going to break down in this episode the hidden costs of you staying stuck and how to move through that so that you can step into your next level version of yourself, your next level version of your career, without losing what matters most to you. And if you're ready to take action right now, then I'd love to invite you to join me for my brand new program, The Art of Reinvention, because your next chapter is waiting. I'm going to share with you details at the end of this episode. You can also hear it in the pre-roll and post-roll for this podcast, and we'll have more information in the show notes. So Jason and I almost broke up, as I mentioned. This was coming off of a period where I was in a severe trauma loop with my business. And what I mean by that is a lot of people who are entrepreneurs or coaches or consultants, or they have a passion business that they've built, many times, not always, but many times, these businesses have been built out of a traumatic experience because they are here to solve a problem, right? Especially in the coaching world. I know you feel me, all you coaches watching this. But even in the physical product world, I know a lot of jewelry business owners, they started making jewelry because they wanted a creative outlet to get over some sort of loss or challenge in their life. And for me, every single step of my entrepreneurial journey has been spawned out of trauma, which is an interesting thing to reflect back on. And so when you're in a trauma loop with the thing that you spend the most time in, which I think all of us can agree are our businesses, guess what happens? We start reliving that energy every single day. So the reason why, one of the costs of me staying in the same place and not listening to the calling of where I was going and what I wanted to create and all these things, actually was this relationship that I called in. And I want to share this with you because if you're feeling the repercussions of you not stepping into your expansion or next chapter, whatever that looks like for you, there's some repercussions that might be showing up for you. And I want to share what those look like. Now, you might be showing up in your business now or in your career now because you have a sense of obligation. That sense of obligation could be for a variety of reasons. It might be to your family, to your team, to your community. You might feel like you're abandoning people. And if for anyone there who has abandonment wounds, if you're a Gen Xer like me and you grew up in the 90s and your parents, you're a latchkey kid and all the things, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you're not stepping into or aligning with what matters to you and you're operating from a sense of obligation instead of a sense of purpose, right? It probably means that you're getting stuck in an old version of you, maybe a version of yourself that you've outgrown. So what do you do if you're stuck in that sense of obligation? Well, the first step to remove yourself from this is to actually acknowledge what is really happening. And that acknowledgement can be the first step into you stepping into your next step in your expanded state. And for those of you who don't know what expanded means or expanders and that sort of thing, there are people in our lives who we look at and they create expansion for us. So it could be someone who triggers us. It could be someone that we envy or admire. It could be someone that kind of has part of what we want, right? And they're like, oh, they're doing that thing that we're not doing. And for some reason, it is highlighted to us. And it shows us very clearly that we are not stepping into our full potential. So expanders are great because they can be a catalyst, right, to stepping into your next level. And a lot of times expanders can support you in that next level. And I just got off a retreat, Lindsay Schwartz's Expanders Retreat, which literally changed the game in my life for the better. I am up to such big things after this thing. But in that state of expansion, there's all these messages and an alignment about what is next for you. So that's one of the signs or one of the steps or reasons why you might not be in your fully expanded state. Now, another reason or another sign that you might be not stepping in to your next level expansion is because you feel like you don't have enough time to actually work on it. So all of us really feel like our time is so valuable, especially if you're successful in your career. And many of us who have been successful can get into these perfectionist tendencies, right? Like, if I don't have the time to fully spend all of this time doing what I know that I should be doing, I get into this season of perfectionism, right? Like, it has to be good enough. It has to be the right time. It has to be all these things. But really, that's just an excuse, right? Of you stalling what is actually inevitable for you. So what would happen if you actually started working on this next big idea, this dream, this calling, this vision, whatever it is that you have, and 6 months down the road, you're fully expressed in this new version of you, this new reality, this thing that you've been dreaming about? But also, what happens if you don't, right? In 6 months' time, are you going to be okay a year from now? Are you going to be okay being in the same space? I did this Tony Robbins event. I can't remember the name of it. I follow Tony Robbins like third degree, but I actually participated in one of his events a couple of months ago. And one of the exercises that he had us do, he had us feel all the areas where we were disappointed in ourselves, or in all the areas where we felt like we had fallen short. And he had us sit with that exercise for about 20 to 30 minutes, feeling in to what it would be like to be in the same spot 20 years from now, not having made a change, still having the same struggles and the same problems, the same dissatisfaction with where you are. What would it feel like? And when you sit with that for a long time, wow is all I can say. It motivates you to move forward. So I want you to feel into that. Like, if you're sitting here imagining your life 6 months from now, still having this same struggle, this same pain, not doing the thing that you said you wanted to do, feeling more shame, more guilt, more dissatisfaction with where you are you going to be okay with that? Will you? And if not, this is your wake-up call. This is your time. This is your season to get to that next step. Now, the next thing that I wanted to just mention is, I've been talking to so many people who are in the season of reinvention. Even people are like, oh my gosh, I needed support like this 6 months ago. Your Art of Reinvention program sounds amazing. Like, how is this going to help me now? Well, the thing is that a lot of people are still in this process of like figuring it out, right? Are you all in on your next evolution? Have you fully committed to yourself to step into your expansion of what's next? Do you have an offer that you're excited about? Do you have a plan on how you're going to roll that out? Or is it just a bunch of ideas that you're like, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm kind of doing this thing, but it's not really getting the impact that it needs or wants? And the most important question here, I think, is, are you excited to work on it every day? So let me reflect these back to you. Are you all in on what's next for you? Are you still dilly-dallying on like these other things that are a distraction? Do you have an offer that you're completely excited about, that you're ready to move forward in? Are you making the money that you want to make right now? Are you eager to work on it every single day? These questions are really important questions to ask yourself if you're still in that state of feeling dissatisfied with where you're going. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is this, because this is true to me. I put off doing a bunch of things that I wanted to do with several of my businesses for a long time, because people told me that I should just keep doing what I'm doing because I was making good money, and that financial stability, just keep doing it. That financial stability is the thing that's going to carry you through, right? If you're anyone like me, doing something just for money is not how you're going to reach your full financial potential. In fact, if you do something just for money, guess what? Your money is going to suffer. And this is exactly why, if you don't step into that next level of where you're going and get into full alignment and get excited about your business and feel pumped and just energized to move everything forward, that it's not really going to work. So one of the things that can be really powerful is like, what will happen, what can happen, not will, I can't change a destiny. If you're so out of alignment and you're being called to something more and you ignore that call, the money, the financial stability, all of that stuff will be taken away from you. I know this because this has happened to me several times in my career. And it's also an important reminder that as creative beings, we have to be in full creative expansion and full creative alignment with what we're creating emotionally and energetically for it to actually grow and thrive financially. So if you're doing anything just for the money, most people can't operate that way. And you're going to start seeing signs of the universe saying, look at me now. Are you going to look at me now? Okay, I'm just going to take the money away. Especially if you're someone who's not in alignment with what you're currently creating. Now, if you love what you're doing and you love your business, but you just want to expand into something else, that's a different story. But how this could show up for you is that you might start messing around with this business that's working that you love, and you'll see a financial repercussion because you don't have a creative outlet that's separate from that business that actually fills that greater sense of purpose that you're calling into. Now, my final warning sign for you, and one of the other things that really came up for me, is that we call this the jacuzzi effect. You're just comfortable where you are. Like, when you get in a jacuzzi, it's so cozy and you're nice and warm, but you sit in it too long and you start to get wrinkly, you start to get too hot, you're like sweating, and you're comfortable for a while, but it can start to feel like a trap and like you're being cooked or like you're stuck. When, especially if you're someone who is striving to really optimize what you're doing and step up and step into your maximum impact. So one of the things that can happen here, especially if you're comfortable where you are and your business is working and you like it and all those things, you start to dip your toe in, and then you don't necessarily finish what you've done because you don't actually know how to do it, or you revert back to what you know because it's more comfortable. So if any of this landed with you, I just want to remind you that if you're being called to something bigger, if you're asking yourself the question, what's next? If you're someone who is looking to step into your next chapter, but for whatever reason, you're sticking in what you're currently doing for the financial reasons, or it's comfortable, or it's people are telling you it's better to stay with what you're doing, or you're kind of like halfway there, but you're not fully expressed, or the time is not like, it feels like there's a timing issue or whatever that might be. You're watching this video for a reason, and it's time for you to listen to this calling. Whatever is next for you is that's on your heart, that is calling you in, that you feel that energetic shift and pull towards, is here for you. And so I would love for you to check this out. I am hosting a brand new program. It is called The Art of Reinvention. It is a 12-week mastermind experience where I will be your expander and I will support you on your journey of stepping into what's next. I am a genius at this protocol, and I'm going to share what that looks like in just a minute. Now, the thing that I love about this so much is that this is not just another course that you go and take, that you never finish, that you never execute, that you end the 12 weeks of it not getting done. This is literally a group filled with accountability, support, and action to come out the other side with a fully crafted vision of where you're going, because you've tapped into your creative genius and you know exactly how to align that genius with the offers that you're putting out into the world. And you have an offer suite of products that you can sell that ascend into the next model with a brand journey and a brand story that bring your existing audience or the people who know you in your network along with you for that ride, so that you're getting referrals and people sharing everything that you're doing. And then moving that onto a launch plan. Okay, you're going to pick a date. We're going to reverse engineer when are you launching this and get it to market. So whether you launch it immediately after these 12 weeks on your brand journey or you pick a date in the future, we are holding you accountable to get that done. If you're craving this and you want more, head on over to tracymatthews.com/art of reinvention and check out the full offer suite right there. Get your application in or book a call if you want to talk to someone on my team, or just sign up right there and we're ready to go. I am so excited to support you in your next level expansion. Let's do this. If anything about today's episode resonated with you, consider this your sign. It's time to stop overthinking and start stepping into your next evolution. The Art of Reinvention is a 12-week immersive experience designed for entrepreneurs, business owners, and people in a career transition who are ready to refine their vision, create high-value offers, and position themselves for their next level of success. And here's the best part. The first 10 people who apply and join before February 28th, we've already have half these spots filled already as I'm recording this, get hooked up by me. You're going to get a massive discount and some extra special bonuses. So if you're serious about making this your reinvention season, head on over to tracymatthews.com/art of reinvention. Get in your application because your next chapter is waiting. Let's make it happen together.